We're here with Manhattanville head men's basketball coach Pat Scanlon. Coach, you had a great start to the season last year. The season didn't end the way you wanted to. Do you use that as motivation for your team this coming season?
I think we used the last 2 years, at least I do, as kind of a focal point in terms of failing to make the conference tournament is something that we don't consider to be acceptable on the court. So not just the fact that the finish wasn't what we wanted to, just the idea that we didn't make the conference tournament, we didn't have a shot to get to what our ultimate goal is, which is to get to the NCAA tournament, win a game. So that in itself is motivating, just the last 2 years. But also, we have 9 seniors in this class. 7 of the guys are dressing for the varsity team. We just have a lot of motivation. So it's hard to point to one thing and say that's kind of the overall motivating factor. We should be motivated from top to bottom just because we haven't been there.
Now, you've lost a lot of players from last year, a couple of starters on your team. You said you have such a deep senior class. What players do you see making the big step up to become big-time contributors this season?
The 2 returning guys who've been the most impressive have been Jeff Ventura and Jack Railton-Woodcock. They both have really come a long way. Big Jack is in great shape, and he's maintained that. And he really the first 3 years was not consistently in that kind of physical shape, which was really the thing I thought that held him back. And he's in that shape now, and he's playing like it. And Jeff is he's in unbelievable physical shape, but he's just matured a lot. He's making three-point shots everywhere. He's also a terrific defensive player. So to have a guy in the court who can do both of those things, it just changes the dynamics. And we need to replace the defense that Lamar brought, and we also need to get some more scoring out there. And I think Jeff brings both of those things. And we didn't always have that on the court at the same time the last couple of years, and now I feel like we do. So those 2 guys from a returning standpoint have been consistently impressive. And I also think Armani Blackman, who didn't play at all last year and barely played much the years prior to that, he's ready to be a force in this conference. I think he's going to be one of the best big guys in the conference when it's all said and done.
And you have some some good newcomers coming in. You've seen them for a couple of weeks now. What player, if any, stands out for you so far?
Colin Campbell is going to start at the point for us. He's been extremely impressive. He's a sophomore, so he's got a year of college playing under his belt. He brings a toughness, a leadership. He can run the point. He can score it. He's a terrific defensive player on and off the ball. I just think he's going to be a guy that right away makes a big impact in a number of different areas. It may not show up in one spot statistically, but he's going to be that guy that gets you stats in every area, and we need a guy like that. So I think he's going to be a guy that really steps in.
And one player, obviously, you've relied on the last couple of years, Travoy Pointer, a captain this season off the court and on the court. What do you expect from TP for this year's team?
He's the leader, and I told him the other day there's going to come a point in time when things aren't going to be going well for us, whether it be within the game, whether it be after a game, where you're going to need to lead this team. And I have no doubt in his basketball ability. He's a better player now than he ever was before. His game is just that much more versatile. So I think on the court it'll take care of itself. Whether or not that shows up in points per game or stats, that's not that important because I think we have other guys who are going to score. So he can do what he needs to do there. But we're going to need his leadership. And he's got tons of experience. He's the right kind of guy. He's got the work ethic. He's got the respect of players and coaches. He's got everything he needs. He just needs to demand that of other people. And if he does, I think the sky's the limit for our team.
What do you, as a team, need to do differently that you didn't do last year, or something you need to do differently to get the team back to the postseason this year?
We're going to score. We're going to score. If we're scoring, we're going to be okay. And that's different because the last 3 years we talked a lot about and tried to emphasize that half-court defensive game. Some success, sometimes it wasn't successful, and overall it wasn't because we didn't get to the playoffs 2 out of those 3 years. So we're going to try to score. We feel like we're going to have 5 guys on the court at all times who can score in different ways. So if we're scoring the basketball, everything else will fall into place because a lot of the defensive principles that we talked about the last 3 years, you can see that in place even though that hasn't been the focal point in practice. And it's now just a matter of being confident. I think scoring is going to just make us more and more confident, and then everything will fall into place from there. So that's what we're keen in on.
All right, Coach, thanks for the time.